Mindshifters. Hello. I just hope everyone's doing okay today. I actually took today off to go shopping, just normal shopping. I didn't want to do it over the weekend because I could track just different things on this neighborhood app we have, and they said it was like a madhouse this weekend. So I was like, okay, I'll take tomorrow off. I think everyone thought that. So just to those victims of the coronavirus and just to your families, I'm so sorry. Our country is just definitely we're going through just like the rest of the world. So just hang tight, hold on to each other. Well, not literally, but just if you see your elders, they need to get some stuff from the grocery store, offer to go for them, and we will get through this. So this video is actually about how I was able to increase my credit score in a limited amount of time, in like a few months. So essentially, what is a credit score? I'm just going to give a brief overview, and maybe another video I'll go in detail. But essentially, you have like what you hear, like the FICO, you hear Vantage Score. Essentially, there are three companies: Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And so they come away with, they're tracking different things, and they're tracking like sort of the mix of your credit, how long have you had your credit, are you timely with the payments, are there any missed payments, any new inquiries, what else are they tracking? And just also they're tracking, just the utilization, meaning if you have a credit card with 1,000, are you at your limit, or are you at 50%? Do you just have a $500 balance or $200 balance, or do you pay your credit cards every month? So essentially, I think the scoring is from like 250 or 300 to 850. And so, of course, the higher the credit score, the more you're able to, be able to get other loans like a mortgage. You get really good rates on a mortgage. You're able to get an apartment, like approval for apartment, cars. And that I'm following Dave Ramsey plan. So he wants you to go on a cash diet, which I am sold into. I need you guys to stay with me if you're following Uncle Ramsey. Yeah, I'm sold into, but as we know with the matrix, sometimes you have to plug back in to save those, or save yourself rather. So I'm plugging back in because at this time I'm trying to refinance my house. And that's a whole nother strategy, especially with this recession, potentially a depression coming up. I hope I can slide in. So I had to, as I'm paying off debt, I had to keep, the game, stay plugged in, right? So anyways, let me get to the 3 or 4 tips that I think are going to help you. The first thing is, as you're paying down your debt with the Dave Ramsey plan, I don't want you to close your credit cards. Again, I am sold into this plan. So for instance, if this refinance doesn't work, I am just going to, it is what it is. But I have an ARM, meaning that's a variable rate. It's not a fixed rate. And it can go all the way up to 8.5 interest rate. So that's a whole nother story. I will talk about it again. So I'm trying to get, like Uncle Ramsey says, like a 15-year fixed rate. All right. Anywho, so the first thing is to do not cancel any of your, as you're paying things off, do not cancel it. Number 2, which is really kind of number 1, make sure you're caught up. I'm making an assumption that you're caught up on all your bills. If you're not, and you're like, Paula, well, this is the reason why I'm not. I want you to stay engaged with your creditors. Tell them that you're having issues. They will work with you. Even if it's to give you a lower payment, you want to do that option because that way you won't get any negative marks on your credit score. And we know credit score is essentially a way that they measure your ability to manage debt. And essentially the creditors want you to stay in debt. We're trying to go to a cashless society. That's our goal, especially if you're following the Dave Ramsey plan. If you're not, and you're just interested, just keep listening to my rambles. Anyways, 1, do not close any of your credit cards yet. Keep them open. Now, B, you can freeze them or you can bury them or cut them up if you feel like if it's in your purse, it'll just burn through your purse. I don't want you to use them, but as you're paying them off, and that goes into another tip. Instead of paying them off, if you have like 5 cards, I'd rather you pay them down to like 30%. And then one by one pay them off. And I know it's a method, is because if you pay them off, then they're not going to see the utilization. It's like, it's weird. Again, we're just playing a game, and have your strategy. Have your strategy in mind. You have to think about what you're trying to do. I'm trying to do something specifically. I want to refinance my house. So in order to refinance my house, the higher my credit score is, the more options I have. And yes, there is some homes that do manual underwriting, but essentially you want to get to the point where you don't have a credit score. So it's always, you got to just figure out where you are. And I listen to people that call into Uncle Ramsey and Chris Hogan, and I love it. It just keeps me motivated. But sometimes I think people, they take things literally, which is okay. And they can't understand that not everyone's starting from the same place. So I had properties. I have a current property now, and I have student loans. I had my son in college. So I'm not following like this linear line. Now for my son, as I give him advice and he's looking at like, Mom, what's the way to manage my finances? Of course, I introduced him to Dave Ramsey as well as Michelle Singletary. And I'll leave both of those links. I just think they have a really good grasp on personal finance. And my family didn't know. And I just think it's good for him to research and figure out what he wants to do. Now, his dad and his stepmom have a different, anyways, I'm going off. So one, we're at, do not pay off your credit cards right now. Do not pay them all the way down to 0. Pay them down to 30%, between 30 and 40%. Once you get them to 30, 40%, then you can start paying them off one by one and doing the debt snowball. Number 3, I want you to call your creditors and try to get your limits increased. So the reason why you want to do that, again, I said one of the factors that the credit card companies are looking at is your utilization, right? It's like they look at usage and utilization. Utilization talks about the ratio. So what's your balance, and then how much do you have left in balance? So for instance, if your limit is, or your max is $1,000, that's what your credit card, you don't want to have $999 as your balance. You want it to be $500 or $300 or $200. That gives you a boost in points as well. So we're at, don't pay down your cards all the way. And once you get your utilization, let's say you have 5 cards and they're all at like 30%, then you'll start the debt snowball and get them down to 0, highest to lowest. Do not close your credit cards once you are paying down the debt snowball, and also call your creditors to increase your limit. This is the third one, or fourth one. I'm not counting. This is like the best one, and I may put it in a little clip. I didn't find it with TransUnion or Equifax, but Experian has this. You can create an account to like track your credit or whatever, and you can also do what they call Experian Boost, which will allow the Experian to link to your bank account, or whichever accounts is where you pay your utility bills or your telecommunication bills. And they give you a boost for that. So they give you credit for doing what you're supposed to do. And again, it's all mental. Do they really give you credit? You got to be careful, guys. Like I saw my credit score go from like 500 to, I think it's over 700 now. And sometimes it dips. And when I was just paying down, doing the debt snowball, it would dip. And I was like, why is it dipping? When I start to level things out and play around a little bit, it's like I see it like, elevating, and it's all mental. It's like, oh, it feels good. I'm close to a green. That's all it's mood psychology. It's color psychology. It's all to play with you. So I had to keep in my mind, what's my goal? My goal is to try to be eligible to refinance and really get a competitive rate. That's my goal. Understanding if I don't refinance during this time, especially now that I think we may be heading in, if we're not in a recession already, or to depression, I may have to just hunker down and just think of another strategy. All of this is figuring out your strategy. I was asleep for so long and now I'm awake. It's like, that's what I love about Dave Ramsey plan. Yeah, it's 7 steps, 7 baby steps, but it's also, we have to think each situation could be different. And you can still apply the principles, but you got to figure out where you are and kind of think through that. Okay, I think that's it. I'm trying to think of anything else. Okay, okay, that's it, guys. So there's three easy steps. 1, say it with me: do not close your credit card accounts. Do not charge off, and they'll do that anyway once they feel like you're not using it, but you don't do it. 2, make sure you work something out if you are behind to get caught up. Is to not to get behind, is to call them and let them know, and they'll work with you. Also, call your creditors to see if you can increase the limit on your credit. And the 3rd or 4th, wherever accounting, is Experian Boost. I didn't find that with TransUnion and Equifax. It seemed like you had like 7 days as a trial, and then because you had to provide your credit card. I didn't have to provide my credit card information for the Experian account. And Experian Boost, it definitely boosted my Experian score. So I hope this helps. And guys, just love on each other. Again, not, but just in spirit, and be nice to each other when you're out in the stores. I'll show you guys another video just this morning. I'm going to go back out, but just be nice to one another, and, don't hoard, just take what you need, and we'll get through this. Okay. Bye. Mindshifters out.